Getting work on Upwork is hard, but actually handling the call after you get that Upwork really meeting booked can sometimes be even harder and a little bit more intimidating. Now, I'm gonna talk about how I handle calls on Upwork to generate leads, close deals, and just make lifelong friends, you know? My name's Gavin. I run an email and SMS marketing agency, and at the time of recording, we've generated about $130,000 on Upwork alone. So I think I'm somewhat qualified to talk about this. I'm not gonna talk about how to generate leads on Upwork. There's a link in the description to a video where I talk about that using some really cool tools, but I will be talking about how I handle the calls themselves. Before I do that though, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I know you should like it before I've even told you what to do. That's how arrogant I am. If you have any questions, chuck them in the comment section down below. So let's talk about how to handle calls. Step number one, and I know it feels like a obvious no-brainer, but you'll be surprised by how many people don't actually do this. Turn your goddamn camera on. I've seen so many people who I've tried hiring off Upwork who do not turn their camera on. If you think about it in a very basic sense, what a client is looking for when they're getting on a call with you is the ability to trust you. Ways that they can trust you are actually seeing who you are as a person, how you speak, right? And obviously seeing you, so turn your camera on. What social proof you have, can you explain your process? Can you explain how you can help them? Step number one, turn your camera on. Step number two, use a decent microphone. If your audio sucks, okay, it speaks a lot to your pride in your work and what they think they're gonna get from you when they hire you after that. It's all subtle, right? You are trying to convey that you are the best person for the job. If you have a shitty camera, or if you don't even turn your camera on, if you don't have a good microphone, if you have noise in the background and stuff like that, they're not gonna trust that you can actually do the job that you're saying you can do. Which brings me to my third point, have a decent background or blur it and do not have background noise. Okay? Try to make sure the dog isn't barking in the background. Try to make sure you're not in a noisy cafe. All sorts of stuff that would lead or indicate to you not taking this interview seriously and therefore not taking the job seriously. It's all playing into their perception of you as an expert, okay? So those are your basics, right? Turn your camera on, have a decent audio setup, and don't have noise and a crappy background going on. It's okay, sometimes we do have to work from odd areas, just blur the background. Those are your really, really basic fundamentals. Number four is listen and research, okay? I know those are 2 points, but the first thing is, I'm actually gonna talk about research first. When you get on the call, if you can, research as much as you can about the job description and what the client needs and their business. You will be blown away by how impressive it sounds if you've just done 10 minutes of research on their business and you're able to speak to what they do without them prompting it, right? Like if we're on a call and I'm a supplement brand, it's gonna be so much better if you as a really servicer or a professional says, yeah, I checked out your business. I love your supplements. I'm a big fan of this product line, but I noticed it could be improved there. That shows that you're proactively researching the brand and you're proactively coming up with solutions. People are ultimately hiring you to save time rather, and solve problems. If you can already start doing that from the jump, you're gonna put yourself in a much better position with the client. The next thing, obviously, so there's research and then there's obviously preparation, right? So making sure you're prepared, getting the research done, and then getting on that call and making sure that you're actively listening. You will be blown away by how many people I've gotten on calls with who just the moment we get on, they start yammering about how good they are, what they've done, rah-de-rah-de-rah. No one wants to hear that. Every single one of my calls with clients, it's about 10 to 15 minutes of me just being quiet and prompting and probing the client to give me as much information about their problems as possible. Any pain point I find or anything that they talk about, I will write down and use that in the future when it comes to the later half of that meeting to then go ahead and essentially use that information to speak to how my solutions, how my strategy solves the problems that they mentioned. They want to feel heard and they want to feel that you've actually understood the problem. And if you don't give them an opportunity to speak and talk to what they're actually trying to solve, it's just never gonna work. They're not gonna actually feel heard and they're gonna assume that you're just giving them a generic strategy. They want to feel like you have the answers. And by giving them essentially clear outlines as to how you can solve their problems, it's gonna give them that confidence to then sign with you. So actively listen to what they're saying, okay? So that's 4, research and actively listening. Number 5 is a whole bunch of steps. Write these down and subscribe to my channel. Number 5 is actually showing and explaining how you can solve the problems they've mentioned previously. More often than not, if you're bidding on a specific job, you already have a solution that you can then sell them. What I like to do in my calls is I actually like to bring up a Miro board. Check out Miro, M-I-R-O. And I actually like to explain explain how I'm gonna solve their problem by illustrating it with diagrams and essentially images. So I actually have a bunch of default boards because I do email and SMS marketing, right? If somebody comes to me and they ask for flows or automations, I actually have a board that I can customize every single time I get on a call with my clients and show them how my automations are gonna help their specific business. And when we're in the call, right, I will literally demonstrate how my automations are gonna solve the problem that they made, or rather mentioned, and I'm gonna customize them on the call with them face to face. And what I think that does, this is just my personal take on it, is that A, it shows them how we're gonna solve the problem, and it also kind of already gets them bought in because we're already solving the problem actively on the call and we're already doing work together. And I think, I might be wrong here, but actively doing work together right there kind of creates this, you know what, we've already started kind of feeling I might as well just sign with this guy. Having a demonstration where I share my screen and actively show them what I'm doing has been a huge boost in my ability to close people. And what I can do after the call, and I'll come to what we do at the end of the call, I can send them that board and say, here's what we discussed, here's how we're gonna tackle it, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do it, here's what it's gonna cost, okay? So that's number 5. Number 6 is the final bit, right? Which is probably the most difficult and awkward part, which is the price. And I even cringe myself when I have to talk about price. It's nerve-wracking, it feels awkward, but I try and pitch it in 2 different ways to my clients. What I do is I have my set hourly rate on Upwork, which is $60 an hour. Off of Upwork, my hourly rate is $250 an hour, but on Upwork, it's $60 an hour. And so what I'll say to the client, if they want to sign with me, or if they're keen to get started on a project, is I'll pitch it as a value proposition. And what I'll say is I'll say, hey, you know, this project, what we've just outlined here, is gonna take me about 30 hours. 30 times $60 an hour is about $1,800. Now keep in mind, my hours that I spend on this project account for both mine and my team's hours. For example, if we need to build a sequence of emails, it's gonna take 2.5 hours per email, which is about $150 per email, cost to the client, but it takes my team 2.5 hours, but I'm actually charging for my builder, my designer, my copywriter's time, which is cheaper than my time. That's where I make my margin, right? So what I'll say to the client is I'll say, hey, this is gonna take about, 30 hours at $60 an hour, $1,800. But, if you wanna do this as a project rate, and I recommend doing project rates on Upwork because you're able to collect the money in lump sums and kind of gives you a bit more of a guarantee, and I think gives the client a little bit more certainty around the scope. I can say, instead of $1,800 at an hourly rate, I'm more than happy to do this at a discounted rate of, $1,200. And then what that does is it actually frames the value for the client a little bit better, right? It says, hey, listen, we could do this hourly, or we could do all this work that we've already outlined that they're kind of already bought into as a project fee, and I'll even reduce it for you so that you're giving them a little bit of value. That's if you want to reduce your rates. Totally up to you. Make sure before you get into these calls, you work in your margins and you know how low you can go and how high you're able to go as well with your pricing. That's literally how I handle Upwork calls. Step number 1, good camera, good microphone, good audio, good background, okay? Step number 3, research, or rather step number 4, research and listen, okay? Step number 5, I completely forgot what it was. I buzzed off of a couple of coffees right now. And then obviously step number 6, I remember step number 5, it was map out the process. Step number 6 is actually pitching price, right? And pitching it as like a value proposition where it's like, hey, I can do it for cheaper if that's how you want to do it. I've had a little bit of success on that. I'm not the best person ever on Upwork, but it's what's worked for me. I hope you guys found this video useful. I put my heart and my soul into these videos. And if you felt that, please subscribe to the channel. Ask me any questions that you guys have in the description of this video. I answer literally anything and everything. Subscribe, check out the description of this video, bunch of free resources, link to my newsletter, link to my other email marketing channel where I actually talk about how to do email marketing. So if you find that useful, check out that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I record 3 of these every single week. I'm a workhorse. We'll see you in the next video.